right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of Not Your Father's Data Center. As you know, we are very serious about all things data centers, all things technical. We'll spend a good bit of time tonight talking about heat rejection, talking about ESG, talking about staffing challenges, talking about how we can make data centers more efficient, and we'll slip in a little college football today. We got lots of guests with us today. We are recording on Monday, August 22nd, even though my podcast team hates when I tell you the dates, because since this one's coming out the week before college football starts, we're giving you the dates. Monday night, August 22nd, we're going to go around the horn, starting on my screen clockwise. We got Elias Ellison, who is the Senior Digital Media Strategist for Market Scale here in Dallas, Texas. Also happens to have a little bit of college football in his background. Elias, tell us a little bit about your college football background.
Yeah, I was a college strength coach for about 9 years. Was at Baylor for about 3 years. Spent a year up at Kent State, and then made my way back to Texas. I was at SMU for about the last 4.5 years.
Excellent. So you and Nick Saban have Kent in your background. So I can see where you come from, the Saban coaching tree. I got it. All right, next as we go clockwise on my screen, Steve Sykes from Salute, all things sales, Executive Vice President of Sales and Marketing, I think in Louisville, Kentucky, if I've got that right. I know it's mostly a basketball state. Steve, talk to us a little bit about where you're coming from and your history with college basketball and college football.
So I'm actually excommunicated from Louisville, and I'm in Nashville, Tennessee.
Nashville now.
But long family history of big basketball fans and football fans. So we'll see how today goes. So you guys be a little bit lenient on me.
Nashville, you're representing Vanderbilt. That's a tough role.
I'm a Titans fan, so I'm blood for punishment.
Yeah, I get it. All right, he needs no introduction. Going all the way back to Tip City. You guys have seen him on the podcast before. I mean, he wins more money for his charities on this podcast than any other guest. I think at that last tally, it was $19,442 had gone to Bodden Dissel's charities as a result of his picks. Backed by popular demand, the current, I think he holds 19 or 20 different Cornell quarterbacking records in the Ivy League. Mike Bodden Dissel with Equinix. Tell us a little bit about your background.
I appreciate that, Raymond, but I'm going to have to correct you right now before anyone does a stat check on the old Google. Did not hold any records, Cornell. Did play all 4 years there. Barely played, but it was on the team. But no records.
I was close.
Yeah, I got to be honest. I can't have people Googling that. You're going to Google me wrong on that. So
okay.
Nope.
Did I have the wrong Bodden Dissel?
Yeah, you had the wrong one. That's the other guy. Yeah. So, but appreciate you on the podcast. Love doing this. Yeah, I played football 14 years, so I know a little bit, but definitely a little behind this year on the college game. So I had to do all kinds of cramming today.
Good job. Good job.
Hopefully I figure it out in the next hour.
Awesome. Ty Miller, can you give us a little natty? Did you wear it today? You gotta show the bling. Come on now.
No. And besides, for the audience out there, I played world football, not American football, and so take my opinions with a grain of salt. Though I was a collegiate athlete back in the day. I'll be covering everything Pac-12, realignment, UCLA, etc. This today, and I'm really excited to be here with such a great group.
And quickly, you're tied to the data center business because we're going to spend most of our time on data centers. You're tied to the data center business?
Yeah, I'm the head of sales, chief revenue officer at Stack Infrastructure.
Bodden Dissel, you did not mention Equinix once. You were still citing all your records, so please get back to that.
I appreciate it. Yeah, so I am with Equinix out here in Los Angeles. So I'm a senior director of sales and been here for 16 years.
Awesome. Love to hear that. All right. Now, to round out our SEC crew, out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, one of Baton Rouge's favorite sons, Kenny Wynn, one of my dearest friends. Light it up for LSU. What do you got?
Man, it feels like in this room here, everyone, I didn't even finish college, y'all. And here y'all like quarterbacking, being on a collegiate team. So I got to rep for my fighting Tigers down here in Baton Rouge. Grew up here, proud Cajun Asian. I run a creative agency called 368. Just happy to be here and talk some sports. I am a big college football fan, so excited to get into it.
I'm getting me a shirt right now that says Cajun Asian. I got to get one of those. I got to get one. I love that, Kenny. Kenny, thank you so much for joining us. A diehard football guy. We're so glad you're with us. So, guys, we're going to talk all things NC2A football. We're probably not going to get to say that for too much longer because I think the football schools are going to tell the NCAA to pound sand. That's another show. But for now, we'll talk NCAA football. Let's jump right in. Let's start with realignment. It is a big thing in college football today, right? The latest news is USC and UCLA are bolting to the Big Ten. We know Texas and Oklahoma have already pulled their ticket for the SEC, but they don't move for a couple of years. Talk a little bit about realignment. What do you think about it? What do you think about the USC UCLA move, and who might be next? Elias, hit first for us.
I love the move for UCLA and USC going to the Big Ten. I think it's good. It might cause some issues travel-wise when you look at Maryland. You start looking at Rutgers. They're going to have to go, across the country as well as USC and UCLA. But I'm a big fan of the big time conferences. Bring them, throw Notre Dame in the Big Ten. Bring them all. I want to see it.
Love it. More big football. I question how the women's cross country team's going to afford to fly across the country, but I love it from a football perspective, no question. Steve, your thoughts on realignment?
I thought it was an interesting move. I think, typically when I think West Coast football, I think of high pace. And when I think of other parts of the country, I think of beef. So I think the combination of those two is going to be a little bit interesting from my perspective.
You can say they don't play defense in the West. It's okay. The two guys on the West Coast know they don't play any D out there.
Just keep snapping.
How many plays can we get in, baby? All right, so Steve, good move for USC, UCLA. You like the move?
Yeah, I think it's a good move for them. I think it's going to be interesting. As I said, I always think about beef during that. Being from the Midwest, we are in the trenches football, so I think it'll be bringing a little interesting dynamic to the league.
Yeah, it'll take them a while to adjust up front. I 100% agree with that. Baudendissel, realignment as a whole.
I don't know. I mean, when you look at UC, UCLA, I think for the Big Ten, it's going to improve the basketball quality and probably dilute the football quality. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, they're both basketball schools anyway, so I don't think it's going to really help.
Yeah. Look at that. All right, Ty Miller, basketball school, John Wooden, the pyramid of success. Defend the move.
Listen, there's going to be plenty of travel money for the ladies cross-country runners because the average school is going to be dropping $85 million to $100 million a year. The travel thing's overblown. By the way, where are my points? I'm supposed to be getting points from you like Woody Page or something right now.
Yeah. Anyway, I'll get to that.
Thank you. Look, what's happening here is that SC and UCLA are going to make the Big Ten the Conference of Champions. Okay, because we're gonna bring our 235 championships to the Big Ten. Okay, and listen, for all those beef road graders that are in Madison, Wisconsin, or Des Moines, Iowa, freezing their asses off all year, now they can stay in the same conference. They don't have to deal with that winter shit. You come out to LA. It's sun, it's beach, it's ladies. You still get to go play in the big house, in the horseshoe. You can get a whiteout twice in your career. Who cares? I'm telling you, this is a huge move for USC, huge move for UCLA. The Big Ten's going to be better for it. And I'll point out, UCLA has more basketball titles than the entirety of the Big Ten Conference in their history.
Whoa. Somebody look that stat up pre-show.
So let's just drop that down. Go Bruins.
Look at that. Okay, Duck Kentucky and Ohio. He was coming in hot. Kenny, those of us in the SEC, we frankly don't really care what all the junior conferences do, but we at least opine on it a little bit.
It's cute, for sure. With the move, though, I got to say here is, I think this is the beginning of something because, just today I heard Oregon is looking to be the next one to move. And I'm just thinking, look at this shift, y'all, happening. Money talks, we all know.
Right.
But, I'm thinking, if Oregon is leaving, I'm like, This is going to get interesting, y'all. Like, we're only just seeing the beginning of college football changing, like, the seismic shift right now.
All right, Kenny, stick with us. We're going to stick with the conference realignment. You bring up Oregon talking about leaving. Which of the conferences is most vulnerable to get completely gutted by the big boys? Is it the Big 12, the Pac-12, which, or maybe even the ACC? Which conference is set to blow up? Because we're not going to continue with 5 Power 5 conferences forever. Kenny, who's on the verge of implosion, league-wise?
Yeah, I think it's Pac-12 right now. That to me just feels like it's bleeding a little bit. I mean, if Washington and Oregon, dip. I mean, what do you got, honestly? When it comes to football.
Come on, who doesn't want to see Utah beat Oregon State? I mean, that'll drive dozens of eyeballs.
But the whole point of this shift, Hawk, is the fact that no one ever saw Utah beat Oregon State because it was on at 2 a.m. on the East Coast. This is the whole point of television revenue. Look, the Pac-12 is vulnerable. Washington, you got to think about it as media markets, not sports brands. Big Ten picked up Rutgers in New York and picked up Maryland in D.C. because of the TV markets, the eyeballs, where the alumni are. It's not about Oregon's football brand. Nike U is fine, but it's in Eugene, Oregon, and it's not a major television market. Washington, football and basketball, not as good, frankly, in the last 20 years as Oregon, is a more coveted pickup for the Big Ten. But I think you look at, if you want to create a West Coast
Is LA much of a
pod,
TV market, Ty? I'm not sure.
Well, after Baywatch, everything went down, but it's still pretty strong.
Still pretty good TV market? Okay.
But look, you got to create West Coast pods, I think, in these national super conferences. So, Stanford and Cal, which are somewhat indifferent to sports, or they're different types of places. The Bay Area, Northern California, is a rich TV market. They have to both be looking at it. Stanford wants to be prideful and be part of the West Coast Ivy Conference. They may wind up in the Ivy League, honestly. Cal's a second sister to UCLA. It's always been that way since we broke away and became the number 1 school in California. But you got to look at Cal and or UW and Oregon as potential departures. I think the grant of rights is a problem for the ACC. They had a long-term contract there. But the Big 12 has a lot of similarities with the Four Corners schools in the Pac-12. You pick up Colorado, Utah, Arizona State. Those schools feel a lot like Stillwater and Lubbock, right? So I think the Big 12 is actually in a pretty good position. Pac-12 is weak right now.
So, Raymond.
Yep, go ahead, Mike.
My question is, all these conferences that have numbers in them, when are they going to stop? When's the Big Ten going to stop being the Big Ten? The Big 12 has 10 teams. The Big Ten has 14 teams.
14, yeah.
At what point is they going to have to stop using these names because it's getting silly?
Yeah, the numbers are a little confusing and a little silly. And the other one, not just what you call the leagues, but how big can a league get, right? I mean, is 16 the max? I was one that 3 or 4 years ago, I thought we'd end up with 4 16-team leagues, and we'd end up with 64 of the premium football brands. But I think the UCLA USC move throws a monkey wrench in that, right? I think that you start to struggle with that. It looked to me like that was happening with the Oklahoma-Texas move to the SEC, and that got them to 16. But I think you could end up seeing, 2 or 3 leagues instead of 4 16-team leagues. Elias, who do you think's the most vulnerable as far as leagues out there today to implode?
I'm going to agree with and say the Pac-12. I mean, if you look at schools to add, I mean, the Big 12 got BYU. That's kind of Pac-12 area. Who else do they add to their conference at this point? I mean, yeah, Oregon's a huge loss if they lose them. Washington, they kind of want out. But geographically, what teams can you add that will add value to that conference? And I don't see there being any around that area.
I tell you, Utah State's feeling overlooked right now, Elias.
Just saying. San Diego State's on the West Coast, Pac-12 radar. San Diego's a good TV market, SoCal lifestyle, all that stuff. But I agree with you. I think there's almost uniform belief that the Pac-12 is the most vulnerable.
I love Raymond's questions, though, about, how big can a league really get? Because, just today, the Big Ten commissioner, Kevin Warren, talked about he envisions this could be the Big Ten could be a 20-team league. That's huge, y'all.
Yeah, unbelievable.
That's unbelievable.
So I'm going to throw a curveball into which league could be in the most trouble. I think we all agree with USC and UCLA leaving. We see the Pac-12 struggling. How about the ACC? If you yank Clemson and Florida State and Miami out of the ACC, granted the basketball programs, but if you yank those 3 football schools out, I don't know what the ACC does during the fall. I mean, there's not much depth there. So we'll see. Be interested to see.
Where would they go?
The Big 30, I think, is where we're headed in the north. I think it's.
Yeah, look, Hawk, you bring up a good point. From a basketball perspective, and the so-called universities in the Big Ten that believe that they're superior academically to the SEC. I'm not making that charge. I'm just going to let the obvious facts state for themselves. Sorry, Kenny, but you look at University of Virginia, you look at Duke, you look at North Carolina, and those are potential Big Ten or SEC pickups, candidly. But the schools that feel more like the SEC to me are Florida State, Miami, Clemson. The schools that feel a little more Big Ten-y are Virginia and North Carolina, and maybe Duke too.
Georgia Tech.
Just don't know but what happens, right? I think we're headed towards 2 super leagues, and that's it. Ultimately, there's going to be a third for a while, but I think if you project out 15 years from now, I bet you got 2 super leagues.
So it's interesting. You talk about TV and eyeballs. The Big Ten TV deal, I think, makes me think more and more that it's going to end up two leagues. 2 giant leagues with massive $9, $10, $12 billion TV contracts that are bundled up to 3 or 4 properties. Just to tie it back into the data center business, because everything leads back to data centers. I think that our customers are going to get in the live sports broadcasting of college football, and you're going to see a package that includes Amazon Prime football. You're going to see a package that's Apple Plus. I think those guys are going to get into buying rights when we get to this next round of college football TV money.
Mm-hmm.
So guys,
Raymond, when these leagues get this,
hold on, Mike. Steve, go ahead.
Yeah, one real question, because the Big 12, didn't I see something about Oklahoma and Texas not renewing their TV rights after 2025 or something?
So the league is struggling with their TV package because Texas and Oklahoma are gone. They're going to the SEC in 2024.
Okay.
So they've already announced they're bolting. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, which is to me leads me back to 2 big leagues, 2 huge TV contract thought.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mike.
but when you do 2 big leagues like that, I mean, at a certain point, you're not even playing each other. I mean, there's only so many games in the conference you can play. There's going to be teams you don't play for years.
Yeah.
And then you have the 1 league final. It just seems like it's going to be where you're all in the same league, but you haven't played each other in 3 years.
Yeah, I think it's more about bundled up TV packages, and it might be called a league, and you end up having an 8-team bracket from one league and an 8-team bracket from the other, and that feeds into a Final Four playoff. Who knows? It's gone are the days where we worried about who was going to the Rose Bowl. Those days are behind us.
Right.
Yep.
New Year's Day does not mean what it did in our childhood, that's for sure. All right, let's get into the actual season as we've switched out of realignment and the ever-shifting landscape. Let's stick with the Big Ten. Let's run down the conferences and tell me who's winning each conference. Let's go in order. Big Ten, Elias, who do you got in the Big Ten to win it all?
I got the Ohio State University.
The Ohio State University. Steve, who you got in the Big Ten?
I have the same.
Mike?
You do have to ask.
Okay.
I
got it. I got it. The Ohio Northern Bobcats. Gotcha. Check. Miller,
It's
who you
the
got?
Harvard of the Midwest.
The Harvard of the Midwest. Who do you got, Ty?
Well, I'd love to be contrarian, but there's really 4 or 5 programs that have separated themselves from everybody else, and Ohio State's one of those elite 4 or 5 programs. Frankly, there's really only 4.
Yeah.
But
I couldn't believe I checked out a few publications and had people picked Michigan. I was like, what football team have you been watching the last 5 years? How do you pick Michigan
No way.
in the Big Ten? Kenny, who do you got? Can you make
I
it
got
clean?
Ohio State.
All right, that's
Ohio
6.
State, unfortunately, it's a sweep.
Yeah, 6 for 6. I'm with you. It's the Buckeyes. I think it's the Buckeyes fairly easily. I think their talent is just so much deeper than everybody else's in the league. All right, let's go back the other direction while we're talking about the Pac-12. Kenny, start us off. Go backwards. Pac-12. Who's winning out there when all the rest of us are in bed?
I'm going to give, Utah. I'm going to give them the love they need.
Yeah,
and they should have. I think Utah's going to take it.
All right, Utah in the Pac-12. Ty?
yeah, there's a surprisingly good program there. No one's seen them, west of the Appalachian Mountains. But they're very good, and I think ultimately they're more consistent than the other top tier programs. So I'm with the Utes. A good pick, Kenny.
Kenny, I think you're onto something there. Elias, who do you got out there in the Pac-12?
3 for 3. I'm going with Utah as well. I think the Pac-12 is going to have a down year. It's going to take Lincoln a year to figure it out over at USC, and I think it's theirs for the taking this year.
Yeah, it's interesting you bring up USC. That's another pick I saw a lot. I just don't think Lincoln gets it all put together in one offseason. No. Steve, who you got out there in the Pac-12?
In Tennessee, we didn't even realize Utah had a football team because they never broadcast yet.
Yeah.
So I had to go with Oregon.
Yeah, all right.
Not being very intelligent about that.
All right, Mike, we got 3 Utahs. We got 1 Oregon. Who do you got out there on the West Coast?
I hate being a fan favorite, but got to go with Utah.
Yeah, guys, I want to try to break it up and pick somebody else, but I think the Utes win handily. I think they run away with the league. They got the softest schedule you can imagine. I think they play 2 football games all season, and I think they roll out west. All right.
Yeah, so Hawk, can I give you a little sleeper comment on the Pac?
Yeah.
Watch week 6.
Are we going to get the Bruins?
Well, watch week 6 when UCLA rolls in to play Utah. They're both going to be 6-0. It's going to be at the Rose Bowl. It'll be a decent game. Let me tell you something. UCLA has 2 games against the state of Alabama this year in the non-conference. Neither one of them is against the Crimson Tide or the Tigers. We're going to whip up on Alabama State and South Alabama in the preseason.
I was going to say, I knew you had the Cougars on the slate.
Along with Bowling Green. So I'm telling you that UCLA is going to wind up giving some false expectation. You're going to see them rise in the polls. Got an awesome running back, Zach Charbonnet, transfer from Michigan, second-year player for UCLA. You got a 5th-year returning quarterback who is on the most swagger team list. Dorian Thompson-Robinson. You may have missed this, but that guy actually hurdled SC in a game, landed in the touchdown, ran over, and signed the fan's hat with a Sharpie. He's going to put up big numbers, but it's going to be false promise for UCLA, and my Bruins, they're going to finish, 9-3. They could even get 10-2, but they're going to probably get smoked in a good bowl game. That's my prediction.
Yeah, I think your Bruins are a lot.
And they're going to go to the Big Ten.
And they're going to go to the Big Ten and raise the Big Ten. I got to tell you, Ty, I think your early season 6-0 Bruins are going to be a lot like my second wife's engagement ring. It was a Diamonique. Looked nice, but when it got right down to it, there wasn't much there.
Good call, Hawk.
Yes, wasn't a lot there. All right. We're switching. Hey, did we get everybody on? Did we get everybody on the Pac-12? I think we got 5 Utes and 1 Oregon. Is that right?
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
All right, let's roll down to the ACC. My dark horse pick for a league that could implode at any minute. I hate it because I don't think that there's much competition down there on football Saturdays. So I'm going to hit lead off and go with Clemson. Elias, who do you got in the ACC?
It's hard to say anybody else besides Clemson. If their quarterback play can just be average, that defense is going to take them all the way through their schedule.
Here. Steve?
I have the Tigers also.
Yeah, I think it's easy. Mike, who you got?
You ready for this, Hawk?
Look out, Wake Forest.
Pittsburgh.
Really?
Yeah.
Look at
Pittsburgh.
you. There you go. I like somebody mixing it up.
Yeah, you got to do homework. You got to do the kind of homework I do.
Somebody got deep. Somebody did a little ciphering today. Ty, who do you got? ACC champ.
Yeah, you can't pick against Clemson, but I don't know. I'll throw North Carolina State out there for fun.
I can see Wake Forest upsetting a few people, but I have a hard time believing anybody at Clemson. Kenny, who do you got in the ACC?
Same. Clemson. Yeah. Very hard to beat.
Yeah. And to the point, that defense is so good. They could win 17-0 8 times this year. They really could.
Yeah.
All right, let's go with the Big 12. Who do you got as you go through the Big 12? I look through, and it's the Big 2 and the Little 10. This league, I will preview it now. My most overrated football team in the country comes out of this league. That's just a quick sneak peek, little cliffhanger for you. Kenny, coming out of the Big 12, who do you got as league champ coming out of the Big 12?
Man, I am torn between, University of Oklahoma and maybe UT, but I'm going to go with Oklahoma on this one.
All right, Boomer Sooner. Let's go.
Yeah.
Ty, who do you got coming out of the Big 12?
I don't know. I think in the era of NIL and ATM machines, that I'm gonna go with the. Oh, are the Aggies in the SEC? They are, aren't they? Forget that. Who's in the? I don't even know who's in the Big 12. Can I pick?
It's hard to keep
Houston?
track because
Can I pick
Oklahoma,
Houston?
who Kenny just picked, is going to the SEC. Can you take Houston?
And the other one was SEC too.
That's right.
UT.
Yeah.
That's
right.
Yeah. So anyway, it's all very confusing. I'll pick the Cougars just because I don't know anybody else will, but they're a pretty good team.
Yeah.
They're like 10-2 every year.
I was going to say the Cougars can play football. There's no question. All right, Mike, who do you got coming out of the Big 12, which, to your point, has 10 teams?
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with Oklahoma. They're due.
All right. Even with the coaching change.
Yeah.
Steve?
Yep.
Big 12.
Voting emotion this time. So who I want to be there versus who I think will be there. With Baylor.
Baylor. All right.
Baylor.
Steve, I was going to be the lone wolf taking Baylor, but I got a friend. You got a friend in me, Steve. That's all
Wait
I'd
a
say.
minute.
Elias?
Hey, the three amigos, I got Baylor
Hey,
as well.
come on, the top of the board.
That first year change for Oklahoma, I think it's just going to be too much coming from another school. I think Oklahoma State's going to give them the most run for their money this year, but I got Baylor on top.
All right, so I'm going Baylor too, not because I think Texas is going to beat OU, but because I think OU, with enough changes with Lincoln leaving town, a lot of talent left town when Lincoln left town. I think AU's a better program, but I think this year they stumble. I'll take Baylor with consistency down there in Waco. So, all right, let's get to the only league that really matters. As much as it pains me to admit that my arch rival dominates the league, Elias, let's start with the SEC. Who comes out of the SEC? And I know you coached with Saban at Kent, so if you go with your heart as part of the Saban coaching tree, we understand.
I'm going to keep it in the Kent State bloodline. I'm going to have to go with Nick Saban and in Alabama. I think Jimbo Fisher rattled the Hornets' nest this year, and I think it's going to be Alabama.
Steve?
I'm right there with Elias.
Yeah. Mike, who do you got coming out of the SEC?
You got to go Alabama. I don't see anybody else.
Man, this is too easy. Ty?
Heck, I'll pick the NIL ATM money. Let's go.
Give me Texas A&M.
Sure, why not?
Give me
They're not
Jimbo
gonna
Fisher.
win. They're not going to win, but this is a boring podcast if we all say Alabama.
If we all say the same thing, that's right.
I could go Auburn. Hawk, who are you going to pick?
Yeah, just like the commercial says, this is going to get tens of views, Ty. You don't want to disappoint the viewers. Kenny, out of the SEC, you and I both SEC West guys. It's brutal. Give me who you think's going to win, and then give me who you want to win.
I mean, we have a common enemy here, Raymond.
That's right.
With Nick Saban, right?
That's right.
Nothing more would we love to see that team lose. Obviously, I wish my LSU Tigers would win, but I don't think they're going to. I don't know if they're going to turn around in the first year or so with Brian Kelly.
Yeah, Brian Kelly, if I remember right, didn't he come out of South Louisiana? Where's he from? What parish did he grow up in?
Yeah. If you could tell from his accent.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
From that interview.
Sounded down by the bayou from the accent, if I had to guess. Yeah. That man's had a lot of boudin in his life. There's no question. All right, so we got 4 Alabamas. We got 1 Texas A&M. So I cannot pick that school from the other side of the state. So I am going to go with the Georgia Bulldogs. Now, that being said, that's only because I can't pick that school from the other side of the state. But Jimbo Fisher didn't give them some locker room material. He gave them a season's worth of locker room material with the way he raised Kane. I think that those guys are going to come out with their hair on fire. And the last thing we need from an army of 5-star players is for their coach to be pissed off. But I think their coach is pissed off.
Yeah.
Yep.
I wish Jimbo hadn't said it. I'll just say that.
Yeah, everyone did too, by the way. Everyone's like, come on, man.
Jimbo, did you have to stir him up? Come on. All right. We're going to pay a little bit of
I got a question on the conference. Arkansas, I'm doing my research, and I'm deep into the Butkus Award nominees, and I come across James Bumper Pool for Arkansas.
Bumper Pool.
Legally changed his name to Bumper.
Actually changed his name to Bumper Pool. That's right.
Yeah, and I just think that's got to strike fear into the hearts of running backs everywhere. Shit, I don't want to go up against Bumper Pool. I get through that gap, and then boom, there he is.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I think next year we're going to have to do a whole show just on the all-name team. Everybody's responsible for showing up with 3 all-name team players, right? But Bumper Pool's got to make the list.
Yeah.
Dakotas.
Yeah, that's another good one. Hey, what's our wide receiver? Is it DeColdest? Is that right? DeColdest?
Yeah.
Out of Nebraska. Did anybody see his NIL deal? Kenny sent it to me. It was awesome. He did a local HVAC contractor in Omaha or in Lincoln, and his name is DE''COLDEST. And, of course, the contractor was always DeColdest. HVAC vendor in town. It was awesome.
This NIL era is great.
Yeah, it's got like 6 million views
That's
right
right.
now.
Yeah.
This NIL era is great for the players. You guys that played a long time ago had a lot of really impoverished teammates, and the NCAA is frankly a criminal organization, a racket in my view. So
100%.
My boy Ed O'Bannon got the ball rolling.
He started it out. That's right.
Yep.
That's right. That's
This
right.
isn't fair.
Hey, Mike, think about this. If they had NIL when Ty was in school, he'd have quit working 10 years ago. He'd already be retired.
I
you
know.
Yeah, it's
I know.
unbelievable.
It's just kind of weird that there's backup quarterbacks W2 and more than
That's a little bit of a problem, isn't it?
What's
Hey,
going
did anybody
on?
see the offensive lineman package deals that got done today? So, like 8 different schools got signed up to do. It was a Wings place. It was some Hooters. That's it. Yeah. Hooters signed up 5 offensive linemen from 8 different schools today to do packaged NIL deals for the whole offensive line. You got to love that.
Very underrated wings, by the way.
Look
Very
at you.
good.
Yeah. We'll do a wing show. That's worthy of a show.
Yeah.
We'll do an all wings, maybe just for the Super Bowl. All right, sounds good. All right, let's go to the group of 5. In honor of Elias's time in the group of 5, we're going to let him hit leadoff. The group of 5 school that has the most likely to be the fly in the ointment, the most likely to upset the apple cart. What other analogies can I use to sound like a real broadcaster? Who could it be in the group of 5?
I'm going to be a homer. I'm going with the Pony Express 2.0. The first school to start paying players. Now it's legal. Rhett Lashley's back.
Lashley.
I mean, yeah, he's back as the head coach. There's a lot of bad blood there. The way everybody left this last year. I mean, they got Tanner Mordecai at quarterback. Rasheed Rice coming back. They got a bunch of transfers. Kamar Wheaton from Alabama. They got a couple guys from Texas. They're going to have a great team, and I see them beating TCU and Maryland this year for their out-of-conference games.
And they are going to throw the ball all over the yard down there. Love it. Love it in Highland Park, Dallas, Texas, in front of 11,000 people. It's going to be awesome.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Steve, who do you got out of the group of 5 the most likely to be the fly in the ointment?
Depends which group of 5 you're speaking about.
Anybody that's not in the 5 conferences we just covered, yeah.
Where is Cincinnati these days?
There you go. I think you're onto something there.
So I have to go with the Bearcats only because I know last year, being a former collegiate athlete myself, even though I was a soccer player, once you get a little bit of taste of success, Cincinnati's been a lot of fun to watch the last couple of years for me, personally.
Yep, completely agree. Yep.
You got a great coach, Luke Fickell.
They do. Yep,
Luke
Fickell knows what he's doing.
Very good coach.
All right, Mike. Group of 5. We got Cincinnati. We got SMU. And I know you were you had multiple high-performance compute systems working on this question today.
Yeah.
Tell me what the analytics say.
Well, my computer crashed.
Yeah,
when I was doing
I
this.
can understand.
So I'm gonna have to
Look into
I'm gonna have to
immersion
wing a little
cooling
bit
for
here.
that. Might help in the future.
I think I do need a little water cooling. Listen, I'm going to throw one out at you that you're not going to believe. I'm going Mac.
The Mac?
The Mac conference is going to upset.
You're just taking the Mac. Just give me the Mac.
The whole
It could be
conference.
Western Michigan.
No one sees
It could be Northern Iowa.
Yep.
It could be anybody.
Odds on Toledo. Probably
Toledo.
Toledo. If you want to,
Oh,
I don't want to give too much away here. I usually charge
that's
for this.
fair. That's fair.
But if you want to put some,
Are you planning?
if you
Are
want
you
put
planning
some
to put your
serious-
800 number up for your tout line at the end of the show, or we can read it one time?
I got to check with I got to check and see if that's legal. I don't know the rules. I'm in California now.
That's
I don't
fair.
know what the rules
That's
are.
fair. All right.
We'll see.
The Bauden Dissel tout line will be up. I think it comes online Friday at 5. All right, Miller. We got the MAC. We got Cincinnati. We got SMU. Group of 5. Flying the ointment.
Well, look, I got to give a shout out to Mike B for just picking the field. I mean, that was a strong play. But
Just give me the MAC.
I figure that since I erroneously earlier put Houston into the Big 12/14 or 10 or whatever.
I thought you jumped. You jumped rails there.
But I'm such a Houston fan, obviously.
You're slotting them into this pick as well. Okay.
There you go. I'm sticking with the Cougs.
Sticking with the Cougars, no matter what. You don't care what conference they're in.
Phi Slamma Jamma.
That's right. Phi Slamma Jamma. Hakeem Olajuwon's coming back, playing tight end.
Drexler.
You got the Cougars. We're dating
Elias
ourselves.
is dropping Craig James references. Unbelievable.
Yeah. Kenny has no idea what we're talking about when we say Phi Slamma Jamma. All right, Kenny. Group of 5.
That sounds like a great bunch of Hooters wings. Is that what we're talking about?
It's a different. It's a level of hot. Phi Slamma Jamma is one below Volcano. That's right.
You know, Ty, I'm going to agree with you on this one. I think Houston comes back, man. 12-2 last year. I mean, they lost at Texas Tech, but then, like, the AAC title game, I mean, I think Houston's going to bring it back, man.
2 Houston picks. All right, guys. Everybody grab your pen because this is the one. This is your moneymaker. Take Central Florida as the Group of 5 club to rock everybody's world. Gus Malzahn, his crazy high school offense has not been figured out down there yet, and he's going to upset that conference and going to be the best Group of 5 team in 2022.
So he's got did he get that good transfer, or did he lose the good transfer quarterback? That Dylan Gabriel guy, did he bail?
Yeah, Gabriel left.
Arrive? Okay, he's gone.
No, Gabriel left. Yeah,
whole system's busted, Hawk. I don't think that's the moneymaker.
You got Central Florida. You heard it here first. All right, we're moving on. We're going to get into some players now. We're going to talk about top defensive players. You guys, if you don't have 3, just give me your top defensive player. Let's roll through this one. Elias, top defensive player, or 2 or 3 if you got honorable mentions.
I got Will Anderson Jr., the outside linebacker from Alabama. I mean, he had 17 and a half sacks last year, 34 and a half tackles for a loss. I'm going to throw the big guy from Georgia in there as well, Jalen Carter. He was behind 3 first-round draft picks, still found his way onto the field. And I'm going to throw a Derek Hall in there as well from Auburn. He had 10 sacks. I got him covered, making up his senior year, first-round draft pick. So
come on, baby.
That's my –
Look at that. Defensive lineman out of the SEC. I love it. Great picks. Steve, defenders that you think are going to get in the conversation for the Heisman this year?
So I was with Elias on Jalen Carter, so I won't jump on that bandwagon too hard. But also I had Will Anderson Jr. Being a Titans fan and having the freak with us for so many years. Anybody that's 6'4", 240 earns a little bit of respect. And then also Colby Wooden from Auburn, that's 6'5", 280.
Yeah,
that's a big
rush end. Yeah, that's a big rush end. There's no question. Look at the Auburn guys making it out. You guys know where this podcast is getting paid from. I love it. Good work. Good work. All right, Bauden Dissel, defensive players that stand out to you out there on the West Coast. And I know, by the way, that's when your team doesn't have the ball for you and Ty. That's called defense.
Yeah.
I know you guys don't.
That's the problem, Hawk. I tried to do homework on this one. I don't get it.
Yeah,
I don't follow defense. Don't really care much. The idea is outscore the other guy.
Right.
So
you're not even sure.
It doesn't really matter, but not really. When I looked it up, the one name that kept coming up over and over was the big dude from Alabama. I think you guys already said it, Anderson. He just kept coming. Every single article.
Let's just say now, if Anderson was in the NFL, he'd already be the best defender on whatever NFL team he played on, except for the Rams. That's the only NFL team he wouldn't be the best defender on the field. So, and how in the world he's still in college is beyond me. All right, Ty, who do you got? Defensive player.
I'm kind of mashing up this category with both names and great players. So, Will Anderson seems to be the only Heisman hopeful. So that's been said plenty of times. I like on the most swagger team an Auburn player, Owen Pappoe.
Yeah.
Or Papoe.
That's
or
right.
Whatever his name
yeah.
is.
That's right.
He's a player. Yeah. And then, all seriousness, Bumper Pool is quite a player, I got to tell you. But I like this kid coming out of North Carolina, Storm Duck. And I think that Storm Duck is a potential NIL transfer pickup for Oregon in the offseason. So you can see where DeColdis made all his money. Storm Duck goes to Eugene. NIL's flowing.
Yeah.
He's an awesome corner.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of synergies here. So
yeah, Storm Duck's making the all-name team, hands down. I mean, it's not even a contest. Yeah. All right, Kenny, we're doing all defensive players. We got a couple of outliers that we got called out. I love it. Love the Owen Pappoe pick. I'm going to drop a quick piece of Auburn knowledge. 3 years in a row, Auburn linebackers have led the conference in tackles. 3 years in a row, they didn't get picked first team SEC. Owen Pappoe will change that stat this year. Led the league in tackles and not picked for first team SEC 3 years in a row. All three of those linebackers are in the league. Owen Pappoe will follow him. Hurt all last year, didn't play. He will be the fourth Auburn linebacker to lead the league in tackles, but will make first team SEC. Go ahead, Kenny.
I'm not as good as with defensive players, but Will Anderson Jr. is hard to pass up. I do have a feeling though that Alabama has our former All-Star cornerback Elias Ricks. I have a feeling that he's going to pop off, especially with the right team. I think Saban's going to make the most out of him.
Here.
And so those are two of the guys that I'm kind of watching. And unfortunately, the other players, they're all in the state of Alabama. So
that Alabama defense could be phenomenal. And when I think about Saban being angry, which I think Jimbo kicked the bear and shouldn't have done that, I could see Alabama shutting 6 or 7 teams out this year. All right, well, everybody said Anderson. He was my number one pick. I loved Elias, called out Jalen Carter. I mean, Jalen Carter, I think, might be better than the 2 defensive linemen they got drafted last year, and he was just a kid. I think he's going to blow it up. But I'll give you the off-the-board pick, James Williams, the safety out of Miami. I think you could see make some noise in the defensive circles this year. So there's our defensive players. Let's shift gears and go to the Heisman. Not exclusively an offensive award, but boy, certainly been owned by the offense. Let's go back around from the top. Elias, who you thinking goes to New York? Give us 3 Heisman names for New York.
My Heisman list is, it's Bryce Young, you got C.J. Stroud, and I'm going to throw Caleb Williams out of USC in there. I think him and
there you go.
Madison from Pitt. I think he's going to get some weapons, and he's my dark horse for the Heisman race.
I love that pick with Lincoln Riley throwing the ball around the yard too down there. That's a good one. All right, Steve, Heisman picks, guys that go to New York.
Kind of repeat CJ, Bryce Young, and Will Anderson.
All right.
Gotta have somebody on the defense there.
I like that. Kenny?
Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, and actually, just like you, Elias, I had Caleb Williams.
Yeah.
Nice.
I think Lincoln Riley will make something out of him at USC.
Yeah, I think Caleb Williams could put up huge numbers this year. Ty, who you got?
Look, the guys who go to New York are always the signal callers from your powerhouse programs that are just putting up stupid video game numbers, right? So you can't go against Stroud or Bryce Young. I'll give you a dark horse candidate. Specifically, I referenced the ridiculously high school JV level schedule that the UCLA Bruins are going to play. Look for either, I'm going to put 2 names in the hat, either Dorian Thompson-Robinson or Zach Charbonnet.
Yeah, your tailback.
To put up enormous numbers in the first 3 or 4 games of this year. And they're going to get a bunch of hype. And then, like most of my UCLA last 20 years, it will fizzle. So look for the Bruin dark horses. I think the hardware goes to Stroud or Young, honestly.
All right, my trip to New York, it's going to sound similar. I think Anderson makes the trip. I don't think he wins. I think Stroud makes the trip. I think he probably wins. But my dark horse to make the trip, because he's going to have video game numbers playing for Josh Heupel at Tennessee, is Hendon Hooker. I think he ends up with massive numbers playing quarterback at Tennessee. They play nobody. They have 2 football games this year, and then they have 10 easy games. I think he could score 50 7 or 8 times this year playing with Heupel's offense. So his numbers are going to be ungodly. So Hendon Hooker, my dark horse to go to New York.
So I'd like to go back to Ty again, if I could, Raymond. I want to explain that logic of the UCLA playing Bowling Green to prep for the Big Ten.
Mike, you
revisit
had
that
an
one
offer
time.
there, right? The only way the dream scenario for UCLA is they go 10-2, Chip Kelly leaves, they get a real coach, and can get ready for the Big Ten.
There you go. Chip Kelly gets hired away. Steve, what do you got?
No, I was just going to ask the question, since we are here talking business. If DeColdis goes and wins the Heisman, what's that return on investment?
Oh, no kidding. That's a good one. You got to know that DeColdis deal with a local HVAC was cheap, right? 10 grand, something like that. He ends up going to New York. Holy cow. How about that ROI? Somebody in marketing in Lincoln HVAC is going to get a raise. I'll say that.
You got to get a promotion.
All right, this next category, you're going to have really had to have done your homework. We're getting right down to it. We're going to go through most overrated, the 3 worst teams in the country, and then we're going to get into the college football playoff. That's how we're going to wrap this thing up. So there's 131 teams in Division I football. I want you to give me your bottom 3 dogs, the worst teams in Division I football, and give me color on why. Ty, we'll start with you. Your 3 worst teams in Division I.
Yeah, and this bleeds into the overrated category as well. I'm going to go with USC, and USC. I know that one of our 10 potential viewers may be my buddy Dave Bell, who's just joining Stack as Senior Vice President of Construction, and he's a loyal Trojan.
He doesn't happen to be a Trojan, does he?
And he wore his SC hat over the weekend at our charity event and ticked me off. So the Trojans are all going down. Caleb is overhyped. He's no good. And Lincoln Riley is a fluke. There you go.
Ty Miller with 131, 130, and number 129, all the USC Trojans across the board. All right, Blood and Dissel, give us your 3 worst clubs in D1 football.
All right, Hawk. The reason I picked them is because I honestly did not know their mascot when I looked it up. I had to look it up. So hold on. So let's test the crew. Give us the school. We'll see if any of us know the mascot. First one is Charlotte.
Hold on, Charlotte. No, that's the anybody know this? Charlotte is in
Conference USA. The Conference USA.
Charlotte. They play Division I football?
They do. They're ranked last in the Conference USA.
I'm just going to guess the Charlotte Knights. I have no idea. It's not the Knights, not the Hornets. Anybody got a guess?
No clue.
They were the 49ers.
Wait, the 49ers.
Yes, the 49ers. Very nice.
It came to me.
I think you're
49ers.
Googling back there in the background, Hawk.
I wish I was that fast.
All right, second team we're going to get down the line, James Madison.
Are they D1?
Oh, yeah.
JMU, okay.
I thought JMU was playing in the championship subdivision.
Ranked 120th.
Oh my goodness!
Anybody
All right, that's a fair
mascot?
pick.
Anybody know the mascot?
James Madison, Patriots.
No, it's the Dukes.
The Dukes. Okay, I'm 0 for 2.
Yeah, and my last pick, and you should know this one, so Raymond, you have to stay out of this one. Akron.
Oh yeah, I got you.
The Zips.
There you go.
Let's go.
Very nice.
Yeah, there you go. All right,
Solid
let's go
Maxwell.
Zips.
That's
All
my
right,
pick.
all right, Steve. Your bottom 3, and you cannot say anything. Remember, we're college football, so can't talk about any of the Titans' opponents.
Oh, well, then I have to redo my list.
Redo your list? Okay. We'll give you a minute. We'll come back to you.
No, the only one, I was going to say Akron as well, because it's the only school that I could think of near Kentucky that
It's terrible.
I thought was Division I, but I wasn't sure if they still had a football team.
Yeah, the Zips make it.
But then I started thinking about, and I only had 2, so I started thinking about large schools that I think are overrated. So I was with Kenny on that one in Duke.
Notre Dame. Sorry.
Only because Only because being from Kentucky, we like to see them lose in basketball all the time, so I have to pick on the football team.
Yeah. So, sorry, give us to us again. Kentucky?
No, Akron and Duke.
Duke. Okay, gotcha. Duke's terrible. All right, Elias, give us your bottom 3 worst teams in Division I football.
In no particular order, I got UMass, UConn, and New Mexico State.
No way, dude. That's exactly my 3. Word for word. UConn, UMass, New Mexico State. I picked them 131, 130, 129. And I had an honorable mention list because they're so terrible. I had Akron make my honorable mention, FIU make my honorable mention, and Louisiana Monroe. Those are all bad. Between those 6 clubs, we'll come back. We'll check this recording in December. We're going to come back. Those 6 clubs won't win 12 football games between them. FIU, Akron, Louisiana Monroe, my honorable mentions, my absolute dogs, UConn, UMass, and New Mexico State. I think the bottom 3, they might not win 3 football games between them.
Wow. Is that a prop bet? You putting
That's a
that
prop
out?
bet. I've got it up on rhawkbets.com.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can get 3-1 on that.
I tried, but my company's blocking all gambling websites, which made this very difficult chore today.
That puts you-
To try to look up odds. So
yeah, some of your homework was tough.
Yeah,
tough?
it was a little bit difficult.
You got to figure out how to punch through. You got to do a tunnel under the firewall. That's
I
how
don't
you do
understand
that.
all that's way over my head.
You got to get the right port to get out on that.
VPN.
All right.
Something.
Before we get into the playoffs, this is not the same category, but the most overrated high-profile club in the country. Give us your. I think Ty's already answered. I think he's not a USC fan, but we'll go back to Ty. Most overrated program in D1 football. I'm dating myself calling it D1, aren't I, Baden Dissel?
Yes.
Overhyped for this year, but not for next year. I do believe Lincoln Riley and Caleb Williams are going to be very potent at USC. Remember that the S in USC has a line down the middle. In the era of NIL, they're going to be paying big time. They're going to be in very formidable shape. But I think they're a little overhyped this year, just on the Riley Caleb Williams nexus. And so that's kind of where I am. I couldn't get to 3 because my other computer wasn't able to look at the Google mic.
Yeah, definitely the Trojans make the list. Baden Dissel, who you got for most overrated heading into 2022?
I hate to say this, but why Notre Dame's in the top 10 every single year? Always.
Amen.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
Number 5, man.
Michigan's the same way. Michigan's always like it's mandatory to put those 2 in the top 10 every year.
Yeah, I don't understand it.
No.
So you're going to give them both? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Notre Dame and Michigan. Kenny?
A&M. I think A&M is overrated.
A&M. Whoa, that's a good pick. All right.
Yep.
That's just said like a true SEC West guy. I like it.
With a bitter hate.
Yeah. So here's the thing, Kenny. I've now heard, whether they've been in the league 10 years, 11 years, every year I've heard how they're going to dominate the SEC, and they have yet to even win the division. So I think that's a fair pick. All right, Steve, we know you're not taking Notre Dame. Who is your most overrated pick for 2022?
I would say Michigan as well.
Michigan. All right. Elias, who do you got? Most overrated program headed into 2022?
It's Texas. It's the same thing every year.
Yep.
They always flop.
Yep.
Like all of Texas? I'm just joking. But
It's Texas football in general. Well, we know he's on the pony, so he doesn't hate Texas football. All right, yeah. So I like the USC pick. I like the Aggie pick. I love the Michigan and Notre Dame. I just think you could start every year with a show and say, look, Notre Dame and Michigan are overrated. I think you could start every year right there. But I'm going to have to give Texas the nod. Yes, I live in Dallas, and yes, I hear. What in the Sarkisian? Why are you so crazy about Sarkisian? And I'm sorry, just newsflash.
Well, he's sober now.
Yeah. Well, just one quick newsflash. Manning is not. He's a high school senior. Talking to me about Arch Manning doesn't do anything for your club this year. Texas will lose 5 football games. And their preseason, number 5 or 6? It's ridiculous. All right.
Yep.
We got that off our chest. All right. College football playoffs. You get 4 teams. We want your 4 teams and your ultimately your champ. Elias, we'll start with you. Give us the 4 that are getting in and who's winning it all.
Seen these 4 before. I got Alabama, Ohio State, Clemson, Georgia. I got Ohio State winning it all this year.
Wow, Buckeyes winning it all. That's a C.J. Stroud vote right there. All right, Steve, give us your 4 and who's winning it all.
I have the same as Elias: Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, Clemson. But I think they just pissed off Alabama too much, and I think they're going to probably steamroll whoever gets in their way.
Yeah, they're going to be angry. All right, Kenny.
Same. Alabama, Ohio State, Georgia, and Clemson. I think Georgia's going to take it.
You think
They
Georgia
figured it
wins
out.
it again?
I
How
think
about
Georgia's going
that?
to take it.
Wow. Okay, that's an upset pick. Mike?
I'm going to pick the 3 obvious: Ohio State, Alabama, Georgia, and I'm going to throw Utah in there as the wild card.
There you go.
They're going to throw a bone out here.
Oh, I see. You see the Miller reaction. There's a West Coast guy.
They're throwing a
Yeah,
bone.
look
out
at
there.
the
West
East.
Coast,
Yeah.
let's go.
That's it.
Yeah.
Let's go West Side. All right.
I'm not saying they're going to win. I'm going to say they're going to get blown out.
Yeah, they are going to get beat by 4 touchdowns in the first round, but they're going to make it. Yeah.
That's going to hopefully keep
right.
the Pac-12 together with all that bowl money. So, no, the Buckeyes win.
The Buckeyes win it all. All right, 2 Alabamas, 2 Ohio States. Ty?
Yeah, I'm actually with Mike. Although I'll tell you that Utah gets beat by 40 in the semifinal. 40,
Okay, I said 28.
40.
You're saying 40. Yeah, they're getting
40,
beat by a
right?
bunch.
Write it down right now.
Yeah, they're playing either
And,
Georgia, Alabama, and they're getting beat by a bunch.
Yep.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you that I like the Buckeyes.
Wow.
So look, Big Ten conference champions. We talked about realignment to open the show. I'm coming back around. I'm rooting for my future conference. Anything to break the hammerlock of the SEC on the title game is good for college football.
All right. I love it. All right, so we got 1 Georgia, 2 Alabamas, 2 Ohio States, right? Do I have that right? Kenny got Georgia. Steve and you got Alabama. Elias, you got Alabama. Mike and Ty, you both got
Ohio State.
Ohio State. So we got 3 Ohio States, 1 Alabama? Wow, all right. Here's, I'm with you. I did not put Clemson in the group because I think Clemson's struggling from a trajectory perspective on the offensive side of the football. I think they lose 2 football games. I don't think they get in. Alabama and Ohio State get there in cruise control mode. Georgia loses to Alabama in the SEC championship game and still gets in. My wild card pick, Oklahoma, because you look at their schedule, they only have 2 football games. All they got to do is win 1 of the 2, and they'll make the playoffs. Oklahoma gets in. They get beat by 35 in the semifinal game, but they get in the playoff. They unfortunately get lined up as the number 4 club having to play Alabama. Alabama's playing their second stringers by halfway through the third quarter, beats them by 35. Alabama plays angry, shuts out 7 football clubs this year, football teams, and wins the national championship.
Wow.
This is the year where they really pissed off Saban.
And Nick retires.
Yeah, and then he retires.
And Nick retires.
Wow.
There's a hot
There
take.
you have it. Nick retires because he doesn't want this NIL BS. He doesn't want to deal with it. He likes walking into living rooms and going, "Hey, do you want to play with the best club in the best program in the country?" And this whole NIL thing is changing everything. I think he wins it all, wins it in fine fashion, goes 14-0, and hangs them up with 7 or 8 shutouts for the year. All right, guys. That's your college football preview for 2022. If there's anything us guys in the data center business know about, it's college football. I think that's clearly evidenced by the brilliant analysis of this crew. Just remember that when you or your kids or your wife are on their phone, all that's happening in one of our buildings. We power digital transformation, and if you don't know about that, trust me, Kenny will help you find out about it because he gets our message out there. Guys, I appreciate everybody getting on and having fun with us and talking football. My favorite time of the year. I love when we head into football season, only because it helps me get over the fact that my Braves are going to lose to Ty's Dodgers this time of year, and I can focus on football. Guys, thank you so much. Have a great 2022.